Hello everybody and welcome back to Nerf This Patch. I know this is a later video, but I wanted to get a lot closer to the new console release. That's what I'm talking about. Mass Effect Trilogy announcement on Saturday. It was one of the best pieces of news I've gotten all week, maybe even all year. I am so excited. I'm so ready to go. Mass Effect is easily the greatest trilogy in all of gaming, and we should be very, very excited. So, yeah, I've been playing a little bit of Crash. I still suck at that. I haven't really been playing anything else, though. I'm kind of getting ready for this week to get everything set up and ready to go for playing on next gen. So that's kind of what I want to pivot into today. So let me start with this. A lot of gamers I know don't really consider this next gen special in any way. If you're a PC gamer, it doesn't even affect you. If you're a console gamer, it's an inconvenience to upgrade everything. I've been very critical of both consoles. And I don't have a lot of faith that this is going to be the greatest generation yet, but I don't want to talk about any of that. I want to talk about the promise. There's something about next gen that just creates the idea of promise that gaming is going to take the next step. And while, again, I've been critical of what that next step is, and right now I don't really think it's that impressive, the optimism of where gaming can go makes me excited. When I think of games like The Last of Us. The fact that that game runs on a PS3 and looks the way it does is the final stamp of the PS3 360 generation of gaming's art form and how we are striving to make games like that look the way that we want them to. And then Last of Us 2 comes out and it looks even better. And gaming coming out now, it's just getting more and more realistic. There's more creativity with the art. And I think that, better hardware allows for better possibilities, and it comes with its issues because games are more expensive to make now than ever. But the promise of next gen is not just, oh, you got to buy new consoles and here are some features you don't care about. It's the promise that gaming is getting closer to having limitless imagination. When I think of before the PS3 came out, and I think the idea of what Kingdom Hearts would look like on the PS3. And then I saw the trailer for PlayStation 4 and got excited about that and the promise that games were going to look better than my imagination could ever picture them to be. It's something special, and I feel that way every time a new console comes out. I feel that the idea of what a next gen represents is more important than the practicality. Because the practicality, quite frankly, especially nowadays where hardware is, upgrading so quickly, the promise is everything. The promise is what makes us excited for the next set of games. And, a lot of people, again, if you play on PC, you don't really care about generations. Like, this game came out in this time, and it looks really good, and this is what it is. And that's great. And, for me, being a PC gamer, like, it does allow me to go back and not have to worry about optimization because it is the best version of the game graphically, and you can push it as far as it needs to go. But for the first-party developers, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, they have to squeeze everything they can out of these very powerful consoles to create not only the illusion, but they have to deliver on the promise that this investment is going to be worth it because this is what gaming can do now. And this is shown and represented throughout the entire industry. That even people who aren't gamers and people who look in and look at, gaming very casually and they see games like The Last of Us Part 2, games like Halo Infinite, games like Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. This is what next gen can do. And this is going to be the future of the building blocks moving forward to get gaming to the point where we all want it to be, which is limitless. Am I a fan of these two next gen consoles? To be honest, not the biggest fan. This is the least excited I've ever been for next gen, as far as the hardware is concerned, and the promises of where it's coming. But I'm still optimistic. I still cannot wait tomorrow morning to pick up my Xbox Series X, and I can't wait on Thursday to pick up my PS5 because the promise of what's coming gets me excited and hopeful that gaming's future is just going to get brighter and brighter. I hope I'm wrong about these consoles, and I hope that they're the best ever. And I create videos like this. I've had a few people comment and say that I create videos like this because I love the attention and I love just shitting on a bunch of games or shitting on consoles. That is not true. I make videos like these because I love gaming more than anything. I'm critical of it because I love it so much and I want it to be at its best. I I love when people who don't play games and have no intention of ever playing games, and don't even care about playing them in the future. I don't want those people to become gamers. I just want them to look at games differently than they do now. I want them to look at a game like Horizon Zero Dawn and see it and think, wow, that is beautiful. That's it. If they choose to dive in from there and, explore a beautiful world and a beautiful story and great mechanics and everything along those lines that come into those great games, that's icing on the cake. But I love it when people who don't care about games, and even people that do, look at it as the art form and the beautiful masterpiece that a lot of games turn out to be. And I think that the promise of next gen makes it easier for those people to look at it the way that I do. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how these are going to, how these are going to fare compared to what we've seen in the past, but I got to tell you, there's no feeling like getting your first console and the promise of what's to come. And that's kind of what I want to talk about. I'm not going to do a game today. I want to kind of strive into a bunch of personal stories, actually. My first day with a bunch of new consoles, and this isn't my first console ever kind of story. These are fun stories of where I got the consoles I got and the memories I have attached to them and why they're special to me. There are some consoles I just bought and they weren't really special. I just kind of got a good deal on it. My Xbox One is a perfect example of there's a cute story behind it. This guy at GameStop was trading in a phone, and I kind of just said, hey, well, how about I just buy the Xbox off you? And he's like, sure, whatever. That's not the kind of stories I want to tell. I want to tell the stories that are personal to me, and I would love for you guys to comment below and let me know some fun stories that you guys have for consoles that you've gotten in the past and anything attached to them that was special to you. And there are some of these consoles I don't own anymore because when I was a kid I traded them in or they're left at my parents' house and I was not able to retrieve them. But they still have importance to me, and I want to dive into that. So it all started with this game right here. This was the first game I ever got on my first console, Sega Genesis. And Sonic 2 was the game that was bundled with it, and I have always loved Sonic, even through all the crap. But I was 3, not a lot of memories with it. I just remember a lot of my favorite memories of my Genesis were playing Sonic and Streets of Rage and Golden Axe. And I had this weird thing where when I was in grade school, like really young, I would stay up in the middle of the night, or I would wake up early. I'd wake up at like 3 or 4 a.m. and go to sleep at like 7 or 8 and play games up to before I had to go to school. And that's where a lot of my gaming time went, and it was really quiet. I had this little 5-inch TV with a VCR attached to it, and I would stay up all morning playing games until my parents woke up, and then I got ready for school, came home, played games, fell asleep early, woke up around 3 or 4 a.m., and that was where a lot of my gaming time was. It was just in my little bedroom with a little 5-inch TV and the volume at like number 2. That was one of my favorite console memories. I eventually got a Super Nintendo. This is obviously not it, but this is where my next door neighbor and I really got into games because he had a lot of the Super Nintendo games I didn't have, and he actually got me into RPGs. My friend Jared, so he was a big Final Fantasy fan. He had Legend of Groot on PlayStation, so I got to play that with him. But he let me borrow Mario World because I didn't have that, and he let me borrow I think it was F-Zero. I had Link to the Past, which he loved, and I had what is it? Turtles in Time. And we both just shared each other's games, and the Super Nintendo is really what we bonded over to start. What do we else have? So this console is very interesting. This is my second PS1. So when I was, this was 2000. No, it was before 1999. So I was, how old was I? 7 years old, and I had a brick PlayStation, and like the old original one. And I brought it with me to the Philippines when we visited San Pablo City, and they loved it. I was playing with all the family there, and before we had to go back home, my mom asked me, "Are you willing to leave this here?" And I was like, "What?" It's like, "Let them have the PlayStation so they can play it while we're gone, and I will buy you a new one." And I was like, "Okay." I wasn't like, I was okay. I was actually really upset at the time because I was like, I'm not gonna have a PlayStation. So we go back, and she got me this, and I was like, this isn't my PlayStation. And then she showed me that it actually has a portable screen, and this still works, by the way. It still runs PlayStation games, and she was telling me how I could play these on the go, and I went on camping trips with this, and I played so many fun games on this. Crash Bandicoot. I had Tomb Raider, even though I hated it. Final Fantasy 7 and 8, even though I couldn't really get through 8 as a kid, or 7 for that matter. I got to the part in 7 where it's actually funny, right where the demo is, right where you get to the end of Midgar, right before that. Like, you're going through the town trying to save Eris, or Tifa, and I couldn't figure out how to get past a lot in that section. We have to talk to other people, so I got mad and just restarted the game over. I had the Frogger 3D game that was really fun. But it was really cool that they had this little screen to play PlayStation games on. And from there, I was really excited because the next year the PS2 was coming out, and at the time, like, spoiled me. It was just like, I really want a PS2. My mom was like, you're not getting a PS2. There's no way, it's too expensive, blah, 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 blah. You already have a PlayStation, you're fine. And she waited in line without me knowing that year they came out in 2000, and she picked up this exact PS2. This is maybe my favorite personal console ever. I played the shit out of this. My favorite story with this is definitely the Kingdom Hearts story. So these memory cards here, I didn't have these when I first got this, and my first game was Time Crisis 2 that I was unable to play because my dad was like, "You're not playing this fucking game. You could shoot people, and it's dangerous. We're not." And before we went to the store to get a new game, I saw on TV at Kingdom Hearts there was a commercial for it. It was actually the day it came out, and sometime in September or something like that. And we went to the store, and it was right there on a holographic case. It's still up on my shelf. I still have it. And I picked that game, and I couldn't save it, but I fell in love with it. And there was one weekend, I started the game at Friday around 3 o'clock, and I left the PS2 on till Sunday because I couldn't save, so I just left it on overnight, and it started smoking. My parents were like, you gotta shut this off, and I was like, well, I'll try to beat it tonight. And when I went to the restroom, they shut it off, and I was devastated. I was so devastated. And then they bought me a memory card the next day to say sorry. There's actually my TV stand and my little TV, there was a nail that was sticking out, and I remember there's a huge scratch right here still from it because every time I would take it in and out, and I didn't even notice it as a kid. But this may be my favorite personal console. This is the one I put so many hours into, and oh, I love this machine. Sorry, I'm getting all emotional talking about all the consoles I got. I was very grateful to be in a position where I was able to play all these amazing games, and trust me, I would love to give back as much as I can while I'm in the position I'm in. Let's see what else. It's my first Game Boy. It's my Game Boy Color, my original cartridge of Pokemon Gold. Even my yellow one's in there. Still have my initials on it from when I was a kid. I think I got this in 1999. I think a year after the Pokemon games came out. It still works. I've tried it. It sounds great. My next door neighbor it was funny. He always got the versions I didn't, and we just traded Pokemon. I got red, he got blue. I got gold, he got silver. I had yellow. I played so much of this. It has a bunch of nicks on it because I used to put the big peripherals on it to like zoom in the screen and stuff like that. Yeah, this is one of my other favorites because I played so much Pokemon on this, and Pokemon at the time was my favorite game ever, and I was the only one that I knew that had a yellow Game Boy Color, and I had Pokemon Yellow, so the whole thing was yellow, and it was so exciting. I was so happy with it. I still love this machine so much. What else we got? We got my N64. This one's kind of funny because the only game I had with this when I got it for Christmas was Pokemon Stadium. And as a kid, I didn't know how to do attacks because if you remember on the N64 controller, they're actually on a yellow D-pad, and you have to push that to do the attack, like Fire Blast or Tackle or whatever. And I didn't know that, so I kept pushing all these buttons, and I kept telling my dad, like, this is broke, what the hell? And, like, I kept yelling at him because I was so mad at him, and he's just like, I don't know what to tell you, like, eat shit. And when I finally figured it out, I, like, was quietly just, like, playing it without letting them know that I figured out how to fix it. I love this machine. Well, the one game I didn't actually own on it was Ocarina of Time. I ended up playing that game on GameCube when that came out on the Masters Collection. But I also I didn't own Mario 64. I had to borrow that game. But outside of those two, I played Pokemon Stadium a lot on this, Pokemon Snap. Unfortunately, I had Star Fox, which I hate, but this was also Super Smash Brothers machine. I was the best in my neighborhood at Super Smash Brothers, and it's all thanks to this Green Boy. So, what else do we got? My GameCube, I got the Melee bundle with this one, and then my parents also got the Zelda bundle with it. It was the cheapest console at the time. This was the first. I was the first one in my neighborhood to get Melee, and I remember we just scavenged for controllers and stuff like that. I used to carry it to school with me like this because I thought it could. Everybody makes the joke that it's a lunchbox. I was so excited to have one that I carried it around like a lunchbox. I was just so happy to have one, and Smash was easily the game I played the most on this. I had Mario Sunshine and really didn't like it as much. It was too hard for me. I'm trying to think what else I played on this. I'm drawing a blank right now, but yeah, my silver GameCube. Still love this thing. This is not my original 360. My original 360 got red ringed. True story, because I was watching Twilight on it on DVD and it red ringed, so I kind of deserved it. But the story of why I got a 360 first before my PS3 is really funny. Is proof that I'm not a biased Sony asshole. But the E3 that I had my first job in 2008, and it was E3 2008, and I was working at the time, and everything was getting ported. Devil May Cry, Grand Theft Auto, everything was getting ported to 360, so the PS3 was already like pissing me off. And then they announced Final Fantasy 13 was coming to 360, and I was like, all right, I'm done. Whatever, I'm getting the Xbox 360 instead. And I really wanted to play more Halo because I only had played Halo at my friend's house. So my first paycheck I ever got from work, I put it straight into it. I bought a 360 with it, and my mom went with me, and she was pissed. She was so pissed that I decided to spend all my money on an Xbox. So she's like, just this is what you're gonna throw away your money with, whatever. Just pick a game and go. And at the time I was 15, so I threw in Grand Theft Auto 4. And I got my 360 in Grand Theft Auto, and it was I never looked back. The 360 was a great machine. And then, a friend I went to school with let me borrow Mass Effect. And the first time I played Mass Effect, I actually hated it, and I went back and played it, and then realized it's one of the greatest games ever. And this is the second 360 I got after my original one red ranked. Love that machine, but I own probably more 360 games than any other console. I was such a fan. Again, with my first job, I got to buy any 360 games I wanted, and this was the day I chose Microsoft over PlayStation. It's probably the only time I'll do it again, just because of the way things are going. I think this one deserves some talk. When the Switch first came out, I was the biggest skeptic. I thought this was going to fail. You can ask my soon-to-be brother-in-law about how skeptical I was. I hated the price. I hated everything about it. Everything about this was screaming Wii U all over again. I was so pissed, and I was pasting online that this is going to be garbage. And then I remember working the midnight at GameStop with Jerome, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to go all in. This better be good. I think what really set me up was I took one of the Joy-Cons, and I tried to feel it, and I'm like, ooh, feels good. I kind of like this. I liked the idea of it. I just didn't think it was very practical, and I was wrong. So I went all in. I got Breath of the Wild, and I never looked back because I was so wrong, and this is one of the better consoles I've ever had. One of the greatest games ever. Such a fan. My original PS4 I ended up selling to a friend because he wanted to get one. I wanted a PS4 Pro when that came out, and we'll talk another day about how much I hated the PS4 Pro when that was announced. But finally, the last console I have to show that has a somewhat cute story behind it is this. This is my Kingdom Hearts 3 PS4. I remember watching E3 with all my friends and just refreshing, hoping that was going to be pre-orderable, and then I locked in and got it. And even though I already had a PS4 Pro, I just wanted the Kingdom Hearts one. The PS4 launch was the realization that I was finally going to get to play Kingdom Hearts 3 7 years ago. And when I was watching this with my friends, I feel like my friends were making fun of me a lot because I was obsessed with the idea of this game. But when I was able to pre-order the console, I feel like they could feel they felt a little bit of the excitement that I had, even though a lot of them don't really care about this game. It was I remember when the game was first announced in the PS4 E3 2013 reveal and just how excited I was, and just like I cried. I remember I was so happy that this was actually happening, and all those feelings rushed back when I was trying to get this PS4. And I remember I got the PS4 in the day the game came out, and to this day, like thinking back on getting this PS4, what this PS4 represented was this game that I've been waiting for half of my life, and I was so excited for. It'll always be a special memory to me. But yeah, those are a handful of my favorite console stories. I think my favorite one is the PS2. Um, and the fun that came the first week I had it, and my mom really sticking out because my mom understood how much I loved games. She may not have liked it, but she knew that I loved it, and I know the day she got my PS2 was her going above and beyond for me to make sure I had the thing that I wanted most. So kudos to her, and kudos to all the other consoles she got me, and kudos to all the people who gave me the opportunity to pick up the consoles I have and make new stories. I hope I have new stories for the Xbox tomorrow, and I hope I have a story for the PS5. But I know this was a weird video, and I appreciate you guys stopping in. But I feel like what makes games special are the personal stories that a lot of people don't hear about. And, just looking, like when I look at this and all the memories that flood back to me that some people have, and I would love to hear other people's stories about their first consoles or like my buddy Rob, for example, talking about how he got an Xbox to play Halo and how blown away he was when he saw his friends playing games online. Like, I love stories like that. I want to hear more stories like that. And I feel like that's what pushes gaming forward is those stories mixed with the promise of where gaming can go to create new ones. Um, this is a weird one, I know, but I look toward this week to get next gen, and I hope that everybody who plays games, who are getting the new consoles or not, continue to love gaming as much as I do, and continue to look forward to the promise of where the art can go eventually. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch me. I know this was way more about me, and I hope it doesn't stay that way. I want to keep talking about games and making it about the industry as a whole, but I would love to hear what you guys have, some of the stories you guys have for your favorite consoles and your stories of when you got them. So whether they're just Christmas gifts or whether there was something behind them, I would love to hear them. So thank you guys so much for stopping in, and as always, keep on gaming. We'll see you tomorrow with the new Xbox Series X.